Next up, we're delighted to have Nerida Kelton joining us again. And for those who didn't attend yesterday, Nerida is the Vice President, Sustainability and Save Food for the World Packaging Organisation and the Executive Director for the Australian Institute of Packaging. Nerida's presentation is on sustainable packaging, best practice.
Well, I'm happy that Mark talked about packaging because it's my favourite topic. So thank you so much once again for having me here today. Obviously, for those who were in the room yesterday, we talked about the balance, yeah? We had the scale and we were talking about food waste and save food packaging. So today I'm going to talk about sustainable packaging because that's what everyone's talking about. So for those who weren't in the room, the AIP are the peak professional body for packaging training and education in Australasia. And we are here to help you. Doesn't matter what category, what type of packaging, we are here to help you, to help train your staff, and to make sure that you are partnering with the appropriate people for all of your packaging. And the circular economy was certainly discussed this morning, and it's great to see that we're all on the same page. But look, from a sustainable packaging perspective, it's really, really simple. And it was touched on this morning. It's about using less and it's using longer and making sure that it's regenerative. So what we want to do is make sure that all of the packaging that's put out in the market, we're designing out the waste at the start. And if we can design out the waste at the start, we're not going to have all the challenges and all the issues that we've got at the other end of our supply chain. So when you're thinking about your packaging, design out your waste at the start. Now I'm going to share a little video from David as well, because he pretty much puts in the right perspective.
By 2050, there could be more plastic than fish in the oceans. Yet the problems start long before plastic reaches our oceans, rivers and beaches, and so must the solutions. We must tackle this flood at the source. We must eliminate the plastic we don't need. We must innovate, so all the plastic we do need is designed to be safely reused, recycled or composted. And we must circulate everything we use, making sure the plastic we produce stays in the economy and never becomes waste or pollution.
Join. When we put it in perspective for Australia, and if you're working in or around packaging, there are a lot of things happening. And I just wanted to touch on a number of the really important aspects of packaging that you need to be aware of if you are looking at redesigning your packaging. And one of the ones is the 7 national waste targets. And again, this is all going to be available in the slides, so I'm not going to go into it. But there are some really important aspects of this from a federal perspective. And then it jumps down into the National Plastics Plan, which again is really, really important. And some of the areas that are important are particularly around things like phasing out problematic materials, phasing out EPS, moulded EPS, all of the things that we need to get rid of, and also making sure that we have a very high percentage of packaging that's on the retail shelves with the Australasian recycling label. So we have talked about the ARL in our workshops, and it's a very important aspect of what we're talking about. So I have a question for you. Were you aware that the federal government had established a plastic plan? Hands up who's aware of it. Oh, okay, this is a good room. Excellent. Okay, so then we have the 2025 National Packaging Targets, and this is what most packaging people live and breathe, and this is how we try and make sure that we're designing out all of the waste. And so from the simplest of terms, we want to make sure that we're achieving 100% of packaging to be reusable and recyclable. And I'm going to leave the compostable off for a moment. 70% of plastic packaging recycled. 50% average recycled content, which for those who may not be aware went from 30% to 50%, which is fantastic, and phasing out of all problematic materials. So who's heard of the 2025 National Packaging Targets? Okay, that's pretty good. So from a packaging perspective, you do need to understand these because this is what we're trying to achieve. And there are many things around the world, like the Ellen MacArthur Foundation for Plastics Pact, and there's a network of multinationals that are working all the way around the world that are trying to eliminate problematic materials, particularly single-use plastic, and they are working collaboratively to achieve this. ANZPACT is our local, regional pact, and it's very important because it's not just Australia, it's Australia, New Zealand, and also the Pacific Islands. And one of the important aspects of the ANZPACT Regional Pact is that we're here to support the Pacific Islands. So we need to help them to design out their waste and to help them develop better recycling and waste capabilities so that they too can meet the targets. And obviously the ANZPACT targets are very similar to the 2025 national packaging targets. And then we jump into single-use plastic directive, and I'm not even going to start on these because this is what they look like. This is just our country. And we all sit here and we whinge about America. Have a look, guys. This is single-use plastic directives in this country. So we have no consistent, harmonised approach to single-use plastic, but we expect brands in this country to sell across all the states. Have fun with that one. So container deposit schemes is another challenge because they're not consistent. This is a challenge for people that have to bring out packaging, that have to design packaging. So when consumers are criticising packaging constantly, these are the challenges that they're faced with on a daily basis. But then we have really amazing innovations and amazing programs that are happening all the way across the country. And some of them are, for example, curbside collection trials for soft plastics. And many of you know the challenges that we have with flexibles and soft plastics in this country at the moment. And we need more programs like this being trialled so that we can have circularity in our design and so we can put the materials back into more packaging in the future, because that's the goal. And one of the areas that Mark touched on is about understanding how to help consumers understand what packaging to put in the right bin. And if you think about it, you're all consumers. And you often pick up a piece of packaging and you've got no idea what bin to put it in. So the ARL is here to make sure that you can understand which bin to put it in. And which bin doesn't necessarily mean a recycling bin. The ARL is designed to communicate the truth. And if the truth is that your packaging isn't recyclable, that's okay. It just makes sure we don't put it in the wrong bin because we don't want packaging going to landfill. Packaging is a valuable resource that can be put back into future packaging, circular by design, which is the circular economy. We can put it back into packaging as many times as possible, and we don't want it going to landfill. So ARL is a fantastic tool for consumers, and it's a fantastic tool for you as a business because you are honestly communicating to your consumers whether it's recyclable, conditionally recyclable, or not recyclable. And that's really, really important. We can keep valuable quality feedstock out of landfill. We can put it back into recycled content. We can put it back into packaging. That's what we want to see. And we now have 250,000 products across Australia and New Zealand that carry the ARL, but we need to see more. So have you ever heard of the ARL? Okay, so one of my actions for all of you today is when you go to the supermarket next, go and have a look at all of the ARLs on pack and you're going to be surprised how many there are. And start using them and then stop buying the ones that don't have it on. All right, so we talk about the waste hierarchy. Mark touched on this. The priority for sustainability, for sustainable packaging, is reduction. Then it's reuse. So we want to make sure when we're designing sustainable packaging or circular design, we want to make sure that we're reducing it first and then reusing it. And then we can worry about whether we can recycle it. And so the journey of sustainable packaging now for any SMEs in this room is to stop. Stop what you're doing and actually really look at how you're designing your packaging. Do you need to design it like that? Does it meet the waste hierarchy? So this is a fantastic opportunity for all of you to stop and rethink the way you design your packaging and redesign it and make sure that it's circular by design. So I think it's a really good time for any SMEs in this room. So one of the ways that we help you is through sustainable packaging design principles. There are 10 principles. I would encourage you, as another action from today, to print this off and put it in your business, share it with all of your staff, and use this as a tool to design your packaging. Now, if you are coming to the workshops this afternoon, we will deep dive into this, but this is how you're going to design your packaging to move into the future. There are so many examples of fantastic companies in Australia and New Zealand that do innovative, sustainable packaging. You do not have to look outside of Australia and New Zealand. Everybody always says you've got to look overseas. No, you don't. We're so isolated over here, and the advantage of the isolation is we're creative. And we have these amazing packaging designers and technologists from SMEs all the way through to multinationals that are coming up with things to meet the 10 principles. So this one is to make sure that soft plastics can be put in a curbside bin. And the only way that it can be put into a curbside bin is by rolling it, because it needs to go through a materials recovery facility and it needs to be captured. And so this is called roll and recycle. And the idea is that the consumer, you'll see that there's a label, the green label on it. The idea is that when you finish your muesli, you roll it up, you put it in your curbside bin, it gets captured, it goes through the materials recovery facility, and then it gets reprocessed. This is a fantastic innovation. It's also mono-material, which is really important for the future of packaging in this country. Now, I don't want to talk to this one too much because somewhere in this room there is a Brown's Dairies lady and she's speaking shortly, but Brown's Dairies are amazing. They win all of our awards all the time, and they have some really fantastic renewable materials that they're working with Tetra Pak on, and they have really shifted the dial in the way they design their packaging, the way they use craft material to really promote the sustainability of their products. The communication on pack and off pack for consumers is just fantastic. It has the ARL, and I'll stop talking because Brown's Dairies will want to talk about it as well. And then you have companies like Nestle. Now, we get that they're a multinational and they have big resources and they have big might, but they're really smart. They're really, really smart at the way they communicate to consumers. So if you're going to make all these changes with your packaging, you're going to go to all this effort to move your materials, do you tell your customers? You've got to tell your customers. You want to take your customers on the journey with you so that they understand why you've changed your packaging, why it's recycled content, why you've moved to a fibre-based material. And Nestle are a really good case study for anybody to look at because they communicate very, very well to consumers. Now, they've obviously moved to a fibre-based material, which you'll see, but they realise one of their audiences is kids. And so the communication on sustainability is different for kids. And so they've come up with these fantastic designs on the left-hand side that you can see. It's like a little Superman and he pops it in the bin. And so they're encouraging the children to come on the journey. But it also tells everybody, I'm paper. So it tries to make sure that the customers understand that they have moved their material, they have made a change in their material, but it's for the right reasons. And then you have really great innovations like this one. This is an e-commerce range that's delivered to your home, and this is a dental kit. Now, the thing that we like about this is, A, they've moved all the problematic materials, so they've got rid of all of the EPS, which is fantastic. That's what we want to see. But they've also made it as a refillable and reusable option. So if you get an opportunity, have a look at the D-Smile website. It's very, very clever. And then you have things like this one. And this is from New Zealand. And when you're looking at the 10 principles, you've got to look at things like design for recovery and design for material efficiency. And this particular grower wanted to make sure that not only did they incorporate recycled content in their punnets, which is one of the things we want them to do, but they also wanted to make sure that the label wasn't going to contaminate the baths when it goes through the materials recovery facility. So they worked with UPM Raflatac, and the idea is that when this goes through the bath, it washes off. It's really, really simple. So it's a washable adhesive label, so there's no contamination in the recycling stream. You get a punnet that's got recycled content that can be put back into another punnet. Now, I also know Result Group is here somewhere. If you get an opportunity to talk to them, they also have some amazing innovations in this space. And then you have closed-loop collection programs. Closed-loop collection programs are very much around, they're product stewardship programs. And they're designed, if you know that your material or your packaging can't be captured in a traditional materials recovery facility or through a council, come up with another way to capture it. Come up with another way to be able to reprocess it. And so Nestle identified that they had a lot of coffee capsules that were ending up in landfill. We all know that coffee capsules end up in landfill all the way around the world, and it's an unfortunate thing. But what they wanted to do is take responsibility for the capsules they're putting out on the market. They developed a trial program called Kirby, which is now a program in many of the states. And the idea is that every consumer gets an orange bag. And then when you finish drinking all your copious amounts of coffee, as we all do, you pop the capsules into the bag and you put it in the curbside bin. It then gets reprocessed. Now the capsules then get split, they get separated, the aluminium gets reprocessed, so it gets put back into more coffee capsules. And then the coffee grounds, which is this balance we were talking about yesterday, the coffee grounds get used for compost and fertiliser. Fantastic program. And then you have ones like KitKat. Now, KitKat have moved into some trials with chemical recycling. And what they're trying to do is take a difficult to recycle and capture material like soft plastics and reprocess it through chemical recycling. The idea is that you encourage consumers to put this in, at the moment, no return to store program, but hopefully in the future we'll have a new program. But the idea is the consumer goes on the journey with the company, and then the chemical recycling puts the wrappers back into more KitKat wrappers. So it's this constant circle, and that's, again, what we want to see. And then you have companies like Woolworths with their own brands that are really working very hard to make sure that all of their own range meets all of the 25 national packaging targets and the 10 SBGs. And as Mark touched on, it is very important because they're now moving into the stage where they're then now telling you, what are you doing in the 2025 national targets? What are you doing with your 10 SPGs? But they've come up with some fantastic on-pack communication tools for consumers. And this is the ARL in a couple of different ways. And so what they realised is this particular meat tray has separable components. And separable components means it goes into different bins. So a consumer needs to have an intuitive pack that can help them to understand which bin do I put each of these separable components in. And so they added obviously the ARL. So each of the separable components have different ARLs to explain this is the bin that you put it in. But then they went a couple of additional steps further. They added text against the ARL, which under the guidelines you can't do, but we think it's a great idea. And what it is to help people maybe that didn't understand the logo to understand it in text. They also added the design. They actually show it in a graphic. And if you have a look at a lot of the Woolworths ranges now, this is what they're doing. So some of them they have the luxury because they have a lot of real estate that they can do this on. But it's certainly a really interesting way to communicate to consumers. Now, obviously, as I touched on yesterday, QR codes, 2D codes are also a really important way that you can communicate. If you have a small pack, you've got limited real estate, use your 2D codes, use your QR codes and take them on that journey of sustainability off-pack. And as I always say to everyone, there is a balance. We talked about it yesterday. You have to have a balanced approach when you're talking about circular design, and you have to have a balanced approach when you're talking about sustainable packaging, because we don't want unintended consequences like food waste. So really think about that if you work in food and beverage, and make sure that you have a science-based, evidence-based, balanced approach when you move to a material. Don't be reactive. Make sure that you have the proof. And we are here to help you on your journey. So thank you.